What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the overall market. I'm going to break down some big earnings that came out that are causing the market to slow down, not to mention what's going on with other factors out there. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you sign up and deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposit $2,000 and you're guaranteed 25. And deposit $5,000 and you're guaranteed 60. The offer ends on June 3rd. Anyways, as far as NIO is going, we're barely holding 3.93. We saw this thing kind of pop a bit and start to sell off after we got deliveries. But one thing that's worth mentioning is that the whole market's starting to dip right now, and this could cause NIO to also slow down. We do have this gap to fill down here at 3.75 if we end up losing 3.92. So let's talk about this. So NIO delivered 23,900 vehicles in April. That's up 53% year over year and 58.9% month over month. That's very, very awesome news, at least seeing their numbers improving like this. This is also their strongest April ever, so great job by them. This puts their total deliveries at 737,558 as of April 30th, 2025. They also started their deliveries of the smart electric high-end car brand Firefly, which is great news as well. So we're continuing to see a lot of sales, and we're starting to see the Envo brand and other brands doing just as well. So great job by NIO so far. Unfortunately, it wasn't really enough to help the share price because we kind of pushed upon this news release, only to see this kind of like a buy the rumor, sell the news sort of event. So that being said, what's happening right now, we're getting some big tech earnings. So we have Amazon and Apple announcing their earnings. Keep in mind that a lot of companies are trying to rush to start shipping goods into the US ahead of the tariffs. When it comes to Amazon, they ended up beating lots of estimates with good revenue at $155.6 billion and $1.59 for the EPS. That's also beating expectations, but their guidance actually was not too bad. What was a little bit weak was their operating income expectations and the fears about how the tariffs would kind of affect them. So that could complicate things to some extent. That's part of why Amazon came down a bit. Also, moving forward, you guys can see they projected operating income to be a little bit below what we were expecting. And they're getting scrutiny because of the tariffs. So that's affecting them. For Apple had pretty decent earnings. They beat on their revenue. They also beat on other expectations. So that was good, at least so far. But they did announce that to some extent the tariffs may affect them. They are producing some of their parts in the US already, but other parts still have to be replaced. And then you have to consider that they announced they're going to be losing about $900 million this quarter. It's going to increase costs by $900 million. Let me just correct that with the new tariffs. So keep that in mind. And then that fear is what's actually causing this to sell off a bit. The tariffs could be affecting them to some extent. So that's part of why the share price is in the red. So, in essence, okay, just as a reminder, Amazon is currently down about 2.4% right now in the after hours. Let me actually pull up the 30 minutes time frame to show you this. So we closed over here at 189. Now we're down 185. We're actually dipping a bit. We're down almost 3%. And then Apple's also down quite a bit. I have Apple right over here. It's currently down 4%. We went from being at 212 all the way down to 204 right now, and we're actually continuing to fall. So with the big tech stocks dipping, this is causing the whole market to sell off a bit. We're seeing SPY and the QQQ dipping to some key levels, so I'll break those down. This may also affect NIO, so be very, very careful with this as well. For more news, keep in mind that tomorrow we also have our unemployment numbers. So an hour before the stock market opens, we have the unemployment rate alongside some more payrolls data. So this may cause some volatility. But keep in mind, as of right now, we're looking a little bit weak. The market reached neutral in terms of its sentiment, and now it might become a little bit more fearful again with all these pieces of news. And involving President Trump, there's been a lot of talk about some more news that's coming out. So President Trump has been talking about how he isn't happy with some deals that are being made right now. President Trump said that all purchases of Iranian oil and other petrochemical products must stop. Any country or person that buys any amount of oil or those from Iran will be subjected to immediate secondary tariffs. And there is some news coming out that China is actually, buying that oil. So we'll see what that leads to. Will President Trump try to increase sanctions on China? We're not sure about that. That there could be exceptions here and there. This is just one quote we're looking at. On top of this, President Trump did acknowledge the fact that there are going to be some political risks to his efforts, and simultaneously there's going to be scrutiny that he's going to get. But he's saying that there's deals coming between India, South Korea, and Japan with the US. He's saying that deals should be coming very soon. He named those three countries, and that's getting lots of investors a little bit more excited. President Trump also mentioned that he thinks there's a good chance of a Chinese trade deal. And there's also a deal between the US and Ukraine, another minerals deal. So some deals are starting to come. But keep in mind, there's still been a lot of criticism that President Trump and his administration are getting due to the tariffs and because of higher prices. So keep all of that in mind. Anyways, that's a quick update about the geopolitical situation. There are deals coming, but there is still a lot of criticism. Now, looking at NIO, we kind of have like on the 30 minutes time from a head and shoulders like pattern. And with Amazon, Aapl dipping, and the whole market starting to slow, this could cause us to actually dip towards 3.8 and 3.7 if we start to sell off more. For SPY, we're also beginning to slow down. We're coming down to fill this gap over here from yesterday, taking us all the way down towards the 554 area. We have to see if SPY holds 555 tomorrow. If not, it could be dumping back down to 549. There is going to be a risk of downside, so look for a gap down, maybe a continuation lower. It also depends on the unemployment numbers, if we're still looking kind of weak here. The QQQ is also retesting 478. If that doesn't hold, we're looking for 476. Then eventually 470 if that fails, so we'll see how it does. The Russell is barely holding 195. If that fails us, we're dipping to 193. On ES, we're dipping as well. We need to try to hold around 5,600. If it doesn't hold, we're looking for 5,567. We need to get back above 5,629 to bounce. Otherwise, we're looking a bit more bearish. On NQ, we're looking for essentially 19,600 to remain support. If that fails us, we're looking for 19,500. So be very careful. On Bitcoin, we're barely holding 96,500. If that fails us, we have 95,940. Tesla's looking kind of weak here. We're looking for a test of 275 tomorrow. It's selling off with the market. If that doesn't hold, we're going to be at risk of dipping to not only 270, but then 266. So be very careful with Tesla, looking at the current factors. For Nvda, we're dipping as well. We have to see if we can reclaim 112. If that doesn't hold, we're going to be looking for a move back down to 108. For Aapl, we got this big rejection. We could be dipping all the way down to about 202 to 200. I think there was a gap to fill down there, but it's looking a little bit weak for now because of the higher expenditures and the reaction we're getting after earnings. This is also kind of like a buy the rumor, sell the news sort of event because we were pumping approaching earnings. So not the best of news for Aapl. For Coinbase, we're dipping a bit. We're going to see if 200 holds. If not, we're looking for 196. For Amazon, we're currently down 2%. We're not doing too bad. We have to see if this could reclaim 188. If not, there might be a retest of this like 180 area. So it's not really a surprise to see Amazon right here. We're still technically in a range between 180 and 192. So going into tomorrow, we might just consolidate, see a lot of sideways price action after this earnings. I'm not really expecting too much from this. For Meta, we're also dipping, but we could be retesting 560. If that does not hold, this like 560 area to 558 could be tested if we can't get back above like 570. So there's going to be a risk of some downside. Microsoft has a head and shoulders as well. We have to see if we can reclaim 430. If not, we're going to be at risk of dipping slowly all the way down to like 422, then 419. For Google, we're actually doing well. We're holding up quite nicely, and we do have this resistance to watch around 164. With this inverse head and shoulders, I think 164 can be tested, so give it some time. For the VIX, it's been dipping. We're going to see if this gets a breakout or not. We're still not above 26.5 to confirm it. This is just a temporary move. But on the dollar, I want to mention that there's an inverse head and shoulders. And if this does push more, this could be another bearish catalyst for the market. So my view of the market's quite simple. There's going to be a risk of downside looking at NIO in the current setups, especially after what happened with Amazon and these big tech earnings. So keep that in mind. Anyways, that's it for this one. Thank you for listening and peace out.